Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're taking you to the cutting edge of education and technology, large language models, or LLMs. You've sent over some seriously fascinating academic papers and research on this, and we're going beyond the hype to see what opportunities and challenges LLMs might actually bring to how we learn in the future. So first things first, what exactly are LLMs? Imagine feeding a computer program a massive library. We're talking every book, article, and website you can think of. Then imagine that program not just memorizing all that information, but actually understanding it, being able to translate it, answer questions about it, even create new content based on it. That's an LLM in a nutshell. It's almost like having a superpowered study partner, right? Always on call, ready to explain complex concepts, write different kinds of creative content, or even generate code.
Exactly. And what makes this so fascinating for education is that it's not just about replicating information. It's about the potential to completely change how we learn and teach. Think about a student struggling with algebra. Instead of waiting for a tutor or flipping through pages of a textbook, imagine having an LLM that can provide personalized help, walking them through problems step by step, 24/7. That's the kind of transformative power LLMs could have.
And it's not just about personalized help. The 2023 LM for edu.pdf paper you shared highlighted how LLMs can analyze massive data sets of student performance way more than any teacher ever could. Imagine discovering that students who consistently miss a certain type of geometry problem actually struggle with a specific visual element, not the math itself. That kind of insight could change how teachers approach that entire concept, making it more accessible for everyone.
It really highlights the potential for LLMs to not just personalize learning, but to make it more effective at a fundamental level.
Huh?
It's like giving educators a superpower to understand how different students learned best, then tailor their teaching accordingly.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've got these superpowered study buddies that can analyze how we learn and offer personalized help. But what does that actually look like in a classroom setting?
Imagine a high school student, right, in English class, and they're just like totally stuck on Shakespeare.
Yeah, I've been there.
Instead of just like, I don't know, staring blankly at the page, they could open up this LLM-powered tool, and it's like having a conversation back and forth about the themes, the symbolism, all that tricky language.
So it's like a study group, but available 24/7.
Exactly. And maybe less likely to like wander off into talking about, whatever the latest video game is.
True, very true. But what about from the teacher's perspective?
Oh, it's huge for them too. Think about all the time teachers spend grading, especially essays, right? An LLM could do a first pass on those, not giving a grade or anything, but just highlighting areas where maybe the student missed the mark or didn't quite grasp the concept.
So the teacher isn't replaced, but they're freed up to actually,
Oh,
teach.
yes, exactly. One of the papers you shared, https://arxiv.org/pdf/2307.06435, it really dug into this whole other side of LLMs, the creative
Oh,
potential.
yeah, I remember that one.
It talked about how these systems can be taught to generate all kinds of text poems, code, scripts, even musical pieces.
Okay, now that's where my mind starts to race with possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, could a music class use an LLM to compose something?
Absolutely. Or imagine a history class, right? Instead of just reading about ancient Rome, the students work with an LLM to create a game, like a choose your own adventure set in that time period.
They'd learn so much more by building something than by just memorizing dates and names.
And it taps into different learning styles, too. Some kids struggle with essays, but they come alive when it's hands-on, creative.
This is all incredibly exciting, but I do want to make sure we acknowledge that no technology is a magic bullet. What about the potential downsides of bringing LLMs into education? So we've talked about all this amazing potential, personalized learning, boosting creativity, but we also have to be real about the potential downsides, right? Bringing LLMs into education, I mean, it's a big change.
It is, and one of the biggest challenges, honestly, is making sure this technology is accessible to all students.
Because if only wealthy school districts can afford this, we're not leveling the playing field, we're tilting it even more.
Exactly. And it's not even just about the money, right? Do all students have the same quality of internet access at home? Can they all benefit equally? There are some serious digital equity issues we have to address.
We can't just assume that if we build it, they will come.
And even if they can come, will the data be safe? That's another big one, right? These LLMs, they learn by analyzing mountains of data.
Which makes me think about student privacy.
Huge, absolutely.
If student data is being fed into these systems, how do we know it's being used responsibly, ethically, securely?
It's non-negotiable, really. We need clear guidelines, strong regulations, maybe even laws to make sure student data is protected at every step.
Transparency is key.
100%. And that ties into the bias issue as well, which we can't just gloss over. If we train an LLM on data that's already biased, we're just going to get more bias out the other
It's
end.
like that old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Right, so we have to think critically about what we're feeding these LLMs, whose voices are represented in the data, whose are missing.
So it's a balancing act, for sure. We're excited about the potential, but also clear-eyed about the challenges.
And that's why conversations like this are so important. This technology is evolving so fast, but it's up to us as a society to figure out how we're going to use it, especially when it comes to something as important as education.
It really makes you think about the future, and not just the future of learning, but the future in general.
And that's what's so fascinating about this, right? It's not just about what these LLMs can do, but what they should do and how we make sure they benefit everyone.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from superpowered study buddies to digital equity to the very nature of data itself.
It's just the beginning, really. The potential here is enormous, but we have to proceed thoughtfully, carefully, ethically.
Couldn't agree more. And for our listeners, who are clearly just as fascinated by this topic as we are, don't let the conversation end here. Go out there, keep learning, keep asking questions, and let's shape this future together.
I love that. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we build.
Beautifully said. As always, thanks for diving deep with us. We'll keep exploring these cutting-edge topics, so until next time, keep that curiosity burning bright.